Picture this. Two people. Same salary. One of them checks their bank account every Sunday and feels a low, quiet dread. The other makes a cup of tea, sits by a window, and feels genuinely settled. Not rich. Settled. What is the difference between those two people? It is not the number in the account. It is something far older than that. In the West, we have been taught that wealth is a destination, a number you eventually reach, and then, finally, you will feel okay. Japan has a different architecture for this entirely. The Japanese concept of negative space teaches that what you remove from your life creates more value than what you add to it. And it turns out this principle applies directly to money. In the next 9 minutes, I am going to give you 3 specific Japanese psychological tools that shift how wealth feels, without requiring you to earn a single dollar more. Stay until the end because the third one is the one that changes everything. The first tool comes from Okinawa, the island in Japan that produces more centenarians per capita than almost anywhere on Earth. They have a principle called Hara Hachi Bu. It means, eat until you are 80% full. Stop before the satisfaction becomes excess. Now, most people hear this and think it is about food. It is not only about food. It is a philosophy of consumption itself. Research from Cornell University found that people who practice moderate consumption habits in one area of life, including eating, unconsciously apply the same discipline to their spending. Not because they are trying to, because the brain learns a pattern. 80% is enough. 80% feels whole. Here is how this translates to wealth psychology. Before any non-essential purchase, the Japanese frugality practice teaches a single pause. Do I actually need more? Or do I simply feel incomplete? That pause, that space is the practice. Not a budget spreadsheet. Not a savings app. Just a pause. And science backs this up. A 2021 study published in the Journal of Consumer Psychology showed that a 6-second pause before spending decisions reduced impulse purchases by 31%. 6 seconds. That is your first tool, the Hara Hachi Bu pause. Before you buy something, count to 6. Ask yourself, am I at 80%? Because 80% is already enough. The second tool has been used in Japanese households since 1904. It is called Kakeibo, which roughly translates to household financial ledger. But calling it a budget would be like calling a tea ceremony a coffee break. It is not about the numbers. It is about the ritual of reflection. Kakeibo asks you 4 questions every month, not 50 categories. 4. 1. How much money do I have available? 2. How much do I want to save? 3. How much did I actually spend? And 4. This is the one that changes everything. How can I improve? Notice what Kakeibo does not ask. It does not ask you to feel ashamed. It does not assign guilt. It is a neutral, calm look in the mirror. And research from the University of Tokyo found that households practicing Kakeibo saved on average 35%, more than those using conventional budgeting apps. Before we go to the third tool, and I promise you the third one is the most powerful, I want to pause and ask you something. Think about the way you were raised around money. Was spending spoken about out loud at the dinner table? Or was it a quiet, private anxiety nobody named? Does this remind you of your own childhood? Because for most of us, the discomfort around wealth is not mathematical. It is emotional. It was inherited. The Kakeibo practice works precisely because it makes the invisible visible, without judgment. Your second tool tonight, take a single piece of paper. Write those 4 questions. Answer them honestly. That is your entire practice for this month. Now I need to tell you something uncomfortable. The reason most financial advice in the West does not work is not because the math is wrong. It is because it treats wealth as an external condition rather than an internal one. We have been handed a cultural script that says, earn more, spend smarter, retire earlier. And that script has produced one of the highest rates of financial anxiety ever recorded in the wealthiest countries on Earth. Japan is not a perfect society, but its relationship to enough, to sufficiency, is something behavioral economists have been studying for decades. A landmark study from Princeton found that beyond a certain income threshold, earning more money produces almost no increase in day-to-day emotional well-being. The ceiling is lower than you think, which means the feeling of wealth you are chasing, it is already within reach. You have simply been looking in the wrong direction. The third tool is the oldest, and it is the one that Western productivity culture has no equivalent for. It is called Wabi-Sabi, the philosophy of finding beauty in the imperfect, the incomplete, the impermanent. In financial terms, Wabi-Sabi means this: your life right now at this income in this apartment with this bank balance is already complete. It is not a rough draft waiting to be finalized. The cracked mug is beautiful. The second-hand couch tells a story. The small apartment has a window with good light. Wabi-Sabi is not resignation. It is not giving up on growth. It is the radical psychological act of feeling wealthy before the conditions of wealth have arrived. And here is the strange truth that behavioral science has confirmed. People who practice gratitude and present moment sufficiency, who genuinely feel they have enough, make statistically better long-term financial decisions. Because they are not spending from a place of lack. They are building from a place of wholeness. That is the psychology of the wealthy, not the budget, the feeling first. So here are your 3 tools. Tool 1. The Hara Hachi Bu pause. 6 seconds before every non-essential purchase. Tool 2. Kakeibo 4 questions once a month on a single piece of paper. Tool 3. Wabi-Sabi. 1 moment each morning where you look at your life and name one thing that is already enough. Not a gratitude list. One thing. Specific. Real. That is it. 3 tools. No extra income required. If this gave you something to sit with today, not just to think about, but to actually feel, share it with someone who might need to hear it. And if you want to keep exploring how the world's most psychologically grounded cultures approach raising children, building calm, and living with less anxiety, subscribe. Because there is a lot more where this came from.